Greetings and salutations, everyone. I do hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? A gentleman named Peter reached out to me, and he and I talked. He had shared some information in regards to a deep underground military base located in Greenland. And I did an upload about that. I believe it was on Friday. And where there is a deep underground military base operating on Greenland, there had been a multitude of other bases in Greenland, and that is one of the biggest reasons why the United States has had its eye on Greenland. One, because it is a strategic trade route, but also it is it's a strategic military area. You know, it keeps the northern part of the United States / and Canada safe. So why wouldn't we want it, especially when there's deep underground military bases there? Now, Peter had talked to me. He is, and we are only going to refer to him as Peter. He doesn't even know if he may even come on here. He was aware of Victor, and I'll get into that momentarily, very quickly. But today's upload comes to us out of Washington State, 2012. A very, very horrific experience with multitudes or multiple military agencies involved. And you will see. So he's United States Air Force Colonel. And like I said, we're only going to refer to him as Peter. He is part of a covert military intelligence division. He's obviously he is an officer in this intelligence part here. So he reaches out. I asked him, and I said, did you know Victor? And he said, you know, being with what I do and who I've worked with, I've only heard his name mentioned once or twice in regards to the hunting of some of these creatures. And he said, you know, I wouldn't say I am aware of all of his hunts or cases, or even throughout the agency. But when it comes to CIA, Homeland Security, and different parts of the military, like the Marines and such, he hears stories throughout the intelligence division. He believes that he heard about Victor in the hunt where there was some sort of large creature making its way through the northern United States, going up into Canada. And that would be the experience that he shared with us, where he had hunted down what he called a mountain giant. So it really, but he never met him. He never knew him. So we couldn't say a lot. He also wanted to say to me that what Steph had shared with us is 100% true. There are private contractors, private military contractors all around the world that are guarding these precious mineral bases or mineral mines, one, to keep the human enemies away from them, but also for some reason, these creatures or entities are attracted to them as well. And he and I talked for quite a bit of time. He contacted me at 9:30 yesterday morning, Sunday morning. And obviously I did the live stream, so I slept in a little bit. And when I called him back, we talked for a couple hours. But he said, it's not only human. And, what Steph had shared about the Canadian one, where that really large, strange creature. And then I believe he called them whippet dogs in Africa. He says that these creatures are sent there with a purpose, and it's sometimes them getting drawn to this area, but a lot of times it is the kind of alien agenda, the ones that are in charge of these deep underground military bases and stuff, that are seeking out some of these minerals and seeing if there is any kind of weakness to go in and get them, which I found very interesting, because what he shared with me and what I will share with you now, there is a very precious, rare mineral in the area. And I didn't put that together until I started to record this. And then I contacted him and I said, hey, does this have anything to do with where this location, what we had talked about with precious minerals and these mines? And he said, even though it's not an active mine, do you think those minerals are gone? And I said, no. So, like I said, this experience takes place in the state of Washington, in an area, Okanagan and Wenatchee National Forest area. It's very interesting because where this takes place, there's a tungsten mine camp in the area. And there are four mountains almost in a squared kind of pattern. Cathedral Peak, Amphitheater Mountain, Wolframite Mountain, and Apex Mountain. Just think about those names. And Wolframite would be that precious mineral or rare mineral, which would be tungsten. So in 2012, May of 2012, in the Okanagan, Wenatchee National Forest, there is a group of hikers, 3 friends hiking the Pacific Northwest Trail. They are close to the tungsten mine camp area, and within some period of time, they had been reported missing. Some park rangers had gone up into that region to go looking for them because they had been missing for a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks. He doesn't remember the exact amount of time that these guys were missing, but they were. Now, during this time, the park rangers had been set up there. They follow the Pacific Northwest Trail into this area. They are on razors, those kind of side-by-side ATV vehicles. And as they're tracking the movements of these three hikers, they come to an area where they notice there's a lot of kind of scuffling and debris. Looks like their camp had been set up there at one point. And one of the rangers notices off in the distance a tent kind of blown up into the forested area, almost like it had just, been ripped out of the ground and kind of just blown away, the tent spikes. So they obviously park their razors, they get out, and they start to proceed to look in this surrounding area for these hikers. They then, as they are in this area, they notice a very large, what was described as a large man. There are lava tubes and kind of mineral-rich caves in this area as well. And it looked like this man was using these tubes to go into. They start to look around, and they can't really get a accurate size of this man at this time. And they do at one point, because two of the rangers kind of watch this thing go into a cave, and they're a good distance away from it. They can tell that it's large, but nowhere as large as what they then see. They're thinking maybe 8-9 feet in height, which still is a rarity for a human being. It didn't look like a Bigfoot. It didn't look like anything other than a human man, which seemed to be dressed in kind of like a Native American loincloth. Kind of, there was what appeared to be needlecraft work on this creature. So it would only make sense that, these creatures, if you think about like Lovelock caves and such, the giants or Nephilim that are described from Lovelock, they did wear Native American-like clothing. There was needlecraft present on these creatures, and why wouldn't there be? They are intelligent. They are not Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon, whatnot. They have shown a lot of intelligence. I mean, obviously, they've been known to use fire and such, like at Lovelock. So they're watching this creature, man, and they decide, hey, let's figure out what this thing is. We have firearms. If we have to, engage this, we will. And that is exactly what they do. They go up into this kind of lava tubed caved area. And a lot of what their judgment of accurate height and size was because of where it was standing and how they'd witnessed it. They get to the area and they realize that the cave entrance is much larger than anything they thought. So putting this creature at around 12 to 15 feet in height at this point, because of the size of the opening of the cave. Now, we later find out that it was around 15 feet in height. They proceed to walk up to this caved area and realize that, holy shit, the opening is much larger than we thought. That means this thing's bigger than we thought. And they do make noise as they're walking in. So they had not seen it up close yet. It's not in the presence of them as of yet. They're walking up. They realize this cave is huge and decide, hey, we are park rangers. We are not, any kind of soldiers. We're not, police officers. Yes, we have the capability and ability to detain and whatnot, but nope, we're fucking out of here. As they proceed to head back to their razors, they hear this noise, a growl. They hear this kind of loud dog growl. They turn around, and what they see is this large, giant-like creature standing in front of the cave. At this point now, they are thinking that this thing is what growled at them. All of a sudden, it starts to kind of shimmer. It almost not like the creatures that people are calling the Glimmer Man or predator-like creatures. People have been seeing them for, years. It's not a new cryptid. And I believe that's where, some of the detail of the predator and its ability to camouflage, I think that's where a lot of that came from, is these creatures exist. So, a lot of what is in fiction comes from facts, Like they said, facts are scarier than fiction. Now, it's shimmering and moving at almost like a vibration. And it's not moving, but it appears to be. And instantly this vibration picks up and it's gone. And they're looking back at this thing like, where the hell did it go? And they hear this noise behind them. And they instantly turn around, and about 35 to 40 feet in front of them is this giant creature standing there. And it smiles at them because it can tell, they can see the fear. It can see the fear on these men. And it does this vibration maneuver again, and it's back in front of the cave. Instantly, they turn and see it there, and they just start running as fast as they can to their, side-by-sides. They're hauling ass because they just saw something so unimaginably being impossible for the human brain to comprehend, be performed or done by some sort of massive giant. And, right there is high strangeness with a cryptid. Essentially, I mean, what are you going to call a Nephilim? To me, it fits in that category of a cryptid. So it does that, and it's back in front of the cave. They take off running. And as they are running, they get to their side-by-sides. Some time goes by. They're hauling ass. Their side-by-sides weren't right there. And they can hear a noise coming through the woods. They hear trees and branches and limbs being broken off in a growl. They hear this growl like a dog chasing them. They think that, once again, they did not know that growl initially that they heard was not from that Nephilim-like creature. They thought it was. As they get to their razors and they start them and they are taking off, and their park rangers, they have the ability to use the Pacific Northwest trails with motorized vehicles to maintain and use it to look for missing hikers, hurt hikers, whatever. They're hauling ass out of there on this trail. they're going, 30, 40 miles an hour. And they look over into the woods and they see this monstrous dog, at least 5.5 feet at the shoulders, just keeping up with them in the woods. And they're on a trail. This thing's keeping up with them through the woods. There's a lot of kind of maneuverability for this creature to a lot of things to avoid: trees, rocks, fallen trees, logs and shit. And it is just going through the forest like nobody's business. They proceed to go faster and faster. At one point, they do believe they had hit somewhere about 60 miles an hour, which is roughly as fast as these razors can go. Some can go faster, but the majority of the working ones don't. And this thing is keeping up, and then all of a sudden it just stops chasing them, stops running alongside of them, and they just go. They'd obviously look to see if it was there, and it was not. So they do get out of there, and they go back to the ranger station where they have to now figure out what to do about these. One, they had not found any kind of clues of where these 3 missing hikers may be. They have not found anything on them. That was their main goal. Instead, they just got run out of the woods by a large dog, and a huge giant man that can move, that can just, I guess, would it be levitate? No, levitate is floating. So just, not, would it be a portal? No, but it can move from place to place by some sort of vibrational movement. They get back to the ranger station and they proceed to make calls who they need to call, higher ups. And, there's a certain protocol that they have to follow, and that's what they do. So being that my brain shut off and I have a hard time with when something I think about doesn't come to my mind right away, I tend to stop and want to figure out what I was... Teleportation would be the word. Ironically enough, when I looked up teleportation, there is teleportation and other terms. And there's something called vibrational based teleportation, a specific type of teleportation that using vibrations or energy waves to facilitate the transfer. So essentially that's what this creature was doing, which would fall in that category of paranormal supernatural. Now, once these rangers get back to their ranger station, they contact whoever they need to contact, which the higher-ups then contact Homeland Security. And within that Homeland Security division is where Victor's, the breeding program and other parts of that fall under that kind of CIA Homeland Security umbrella. Anything to keep the United States safe. And at this point is where then Peter gets involved, or a few people that he is or works with are involved. Now, he was involved in this, but only briefly, and he did do follow-ups so he could hear, because it was very interesting to him being in the intelligence division. So he gets this information, what went down. He sees all of the paperwork from the park rangers and whatnot. And at this point, Homeland Security wants to figure out exactly what they are dealing with. So at this point, a drone is dispatched from the Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington and flown up to the Okanagan Wenatchee National Forest. It's flown into the area where the tungsten mine camp is located, between these 4 kind of mountainous regions. And if you think about those mountainous regions, once again, it's so weird that it only makes sense that something fucking crazy like this would happen in this area. Cathedral Park, Amphitheater Mountain, Wolframite Mountain, and Apex. Now, what I found interesting, I wanted to know where the term Wolframite came from. And interestingly enough, it comes from it's derived from German. It's a German Lupi Spuma. Now, where the name originates from is kind of like a wolf froth, or wolf's cream, and the name is based on derives from a German wolf's ram, literally meaning wolf's foam, from when a wolf is devouring a sheep. What are we called when we are unaware? Sheep. And I guess the process of creating tungsten and breaking down wolframite resembles that froth. Kind of weird. But, anything in this field is weird. Now, from that point, Fairchild Air Force Base, the drone is sent overhead, and what is witnessed is they do see this giant creature. They witness it within these area where the Rangers had last seen it, using these lava tubes or tunnels, and mineral-rich caves to dwell in. Or possibly there's a larger portal in that. Who knows? I know that, and I was thinking about this while getting ready to record this, with the richness of the rare earth minerals in that area, there would be, the power for a portal. And then I was thinking about Tom Mezek, and the Adirondacks is full of quartz. And quartz is a very strong kind of mineral. And I'm like, maybe that's what happened. Maybe there was a portal. The more I think about where and what happened, the more I get away from the cryptid part and look at the portal part. The Adirondacks are rich with these strange minerals, the Herkimer diamond and such. So they witness this creature. They then now have a visual. The Homeland Security and higher ups now have a visual of this creature. And they have to figure out, okay, well, we've seen the creature. What is the big dog they are talking about? At one point, there is a visual of that, and the large canine comes walking out of the cave. It is quadruped, and it kind of runs out of the cave. The giant humanoid walks out behind it, and it books it into the woods. A couple of minutes later, you've got this drone high up in the sky, taking aerial video of this. A couple of minutes later, it comes back, and it is bipedal, and it is carrying a deer, and it throws the deer onto the ground in front of this Nephilim-like creature, and they both begin to feast and eat on this thing. So now they have to figure out how and what are we going to do about this. We've got 3 missing hikers. They were reported missing. We can't, really have anyone else go up into that area now that we know that something like this is up there. At this point, they've got to contact in Silverdale, Washington, the Department of the Navy, and figure out what if any help they can get from the United States Marines. For some reason, the Marines are the go-to, and it's usually the select elite, like what Victor had shared, through the process of interviewing 4 different agents to fill spots up when a agent retires or an agent is killed. They go to the Marines, and they have to be the best of the best, which only makes sense because you are essentially hunting a creature that is far stronger than a human, quite possibly just as smart. And, so why not have the best of the best? At this point, the Department of the Navy contacts Joint Base Lewis McChord, and from there, JBLM, they deploy 2 squads of Marines. Both squads have mountain and cold weather operational training and warfare training. So you've got now 26 Marines heading up into this area to do battle with essentially a Dogman and a Nephilim. The Marines are all briefed on what has happened. I imagine, and he imagines, they had spoken with the park rangers because they followed the same route into the area. They followed the same route that the park rangers had taken, the Pacific Northwest Trail, up into the Tungsten Mountain Mine Camp area. And what they have decided to do is they're going to drive in basically a couple of miles before the area where the park rangers had parked and proceed to walk in. They have drone flying over, so they do have a kind of visual above them of what is going on, so they have a clear picture of what they are walking into. They get to the area where they find the tent, where the Rangers had found the tent, so they know now we are essentially close. At this point, they are told, you're not very far from where these lava tubes and / caves are. Whatever, you guys decide, however you decide what you're going to do, you have X amount of time to get to where you are and whatnot. Proceed with caution. We have not yet seen either or of these creatures. We have not seen this Dogman that is running loose in these woods with this Nephilim-like giant creature. So proceed with caution and carry on. As they get past the cathedral and amphitheater area, they're heading towards the Wolframite Mountains and Apex Mountain, which is essentially right where these caves are. They do get a visual of, hey, the Dogman had been spotted. It is heading your way. Unsure of where the giant light creature is, but proceed with caution. Maybe let us know if you need any kind of help or assistance. But we have you from ahead, above. As they are walking, the two squads break into one each and then head into where they know, okay, this one squad is heading directly toward where the last Dogman's coordinates are. The other squad is going to head below the cave, go almost around it, and kind of come behind it. So when these Marines take care of the Dogman, what'll happen is they will cut then over, and it will essentially be cave is here, boom. The first squad is head on with the Dogman. No Marines. There were no casualties. There was no kind of any wounding of a Marine. The Dogman had been taken out very rapidly, very quickly. It approached with hostility, and it did not show any kind of intelligence. It just ran full bore into, you got 13 Marines. There's a squad leader and then 2 other Marines and then 10 ready to go. Let's fucking, kill. So it essentially met its death pretty quick. They then radio to the other squad. Mission accomplished on that Dogman. They proceed to head into the Wolframite Apex area. They pass the camp and proceed to walk with caution. At that point, right before the meetup, they get notification that the giant creature is now outside of its cave, and it is looking at the area the first squad is coming at, the one that took care of the Dogman. It heard a bunch of rifle fire, automatic rifle fire, taking out a Dogman. It is looking your way. And right now, it appears that our drone, the coverage of the drone, the video, live feed video, is down. We just witnessed something we can't explain. It looked like a glitch in our computer, or in our camera, but it appeared that it was, doing that vibrational teleportation, and then, we lost visuals of it. Be on your safe, be safe. We don't know where it is. So that means when this thing proceeded to do that energy vibrational teleportation, that it not only affected anything around it, but that drone is, 1,000 feet up in the air, a couple thousand feet. I don't know how high, but if it affected that video, shit, what else is it affecting around it? Immediately that second team proceeds to then walk into where that cave area is. They scratched that and said, if that thing is heading towards squad 1, we've got to get behind it. We have to essentially let them know, hey, we are at this location now. Do not fire. upon us. We'll let you know where we are. Be safe. There's no any kind of movement. The Marine Squad 1 is walking right into this area where the cave tunnels are, about a half a mile away now. You have Squad 1 on high alert, walking dead into the area of this cave area. You have Squad 2 completely stopping the plan, and they are now heading directly towards Squad 1. Camp is right here. What was going to happen, like I said, they were going to come in and meet and, just rain hell on this thing. Now, this Squad 2 is going pretty much around and in front of the cave area and walking right into Squad 1. Benefits of technology. Squad 2 is now in the area of the caves. The area of these very, rich mineral deposits and cave formations, lava tubes. And as they are walking through the area, they're on radio contact. We have not seen this creature. Squad 1, have you made contact? No contact. Dogman taken out. This, and that. As Squad 2 is cutting through, all of a sudden, radio contact immediately, almost instantly, as two of the Marines that are walking behind, the last two in the squad that are walking through, are hit with a large kind of staff, almost like a club, and radio contact from the drone. The creature is in the cave, and it is coming out of the cave. It is behind you. It just hit two of your Marines. Like, boom, boom. Everything hit, like technology. So they all turn, and they see two of their fellow Marines, just getting hurled through the fucking air as this large staff kind of swings out of the cave. And then the giant Nephilim-like creature walks out of the cave and is standing in front of 11 U.S. Marines, 13 more coming up, which they're not that far away. The 11 open fire immediately. Open fire. As they are doing that, the creature starts to vibrate and it starts to move. But what they are witnessing as the bullets are, the creature's doing its vibration, and the camera then goes dead on the drone again. Per a few of the Marines that were witnessed and the reports, the debriefing paperwork and stuff, the bullets apparently, as they were being shot, were slowing down, and it looked like they were turning to be red hot as they got into this vibrational kind of area, this energy area around the Nephilim, turning red hot and instantly dropping to the ground. And it was just vibrating. And then it was gone. As they are looking and wondering, what the hell, the Squad 1 is now behind them, but in front of the Nephilim that is now behind Squad 2. The Nephilim did not know about Squad 1. It immediately thought that what this Squad 2, more than likely, I don't know, and Peter didn't know, but he said more than likely this thing only thought that there was, one squad of Marines coming after it, or one group of men coming to fight it. So it concentrated all of its energy and sight on taking out these, 13 Marines that it witnessed as they walked by its cave entrance. Squad 1 is now witnessing this creature that just transported behind Squad 2. They can't shoot. They cannot shoot. They are making verbal commands, verbal confirmation. We are behind you. We are behind the creature. It's swinging on you guys. We can't shoot on you guys. Do not shoot on it. We have to figure out what, as the drone is now ahead, pretty much saying the same thing. It's not a very good scenario to be put in. Essentially, the creature is now, it put itself into a very good predicament. You got crossfire, so you're not going to be able to, really do much. Squad 1, as they're yelling, talking on comms and such, the creature kind of turns and looks and sees Squad 1. Now it's aware that it's got a squad of Marines here and a squad behind it. And instantly, these Marines, Squad 2, come up, Squad 1 comes up, and they all proceed to fire directly onto the creature. There is no crossfire. They seized the moment to, before any kind of energy could be expelled from the Nephilim or from this creature. And, they managed to figure out a way of not being in crossfire. A very dangerous predicament to be put in either way you look at it. Because you've got some Marines here, some up here, some up here. And they're all focusing onto this one kind of centralized location. It is not an ideal firefight arrangement, As they proceed to just open fire on this thing, it tries to do this energy kind of burst again, where it deflected the first round of bullets and then got behind Squad 2. Now, during this time, the vibrational thing, it probably would have started. Unbeknownst to the Marines on the ground, the drones that were deployed from the Fairchild Air Force Base, but there also had been a drone flown out of Lewis McChord, and that one had been equipped with projectiles, weapons of war. It was a bird of prey drone, which is equipped with 40 millimeter grenade projectiles. As they are now shooting at this thing, it appears to start to do the vibrational energy thing. The bullets have not started to drop. It just started. And the Marines that are in Squad 2 and 1 are immediately told to fall back rapidly. Rapidly fall back. We are taking this thing out now. Within seconds of them falling back, this bird of prey drone, which apparently, I guess the U.S. Navy, some SEAL forces and Marine forces use it. instantly starts to lace this thing up with 40 millimeter grenade projectiles. And it is instantly stopped. There's very little left of its head region. It focused essentially on the head. The body was there. There was, damage to the body, but pretty much the head was eviscerated. The giant Nephilim creature drops to the ground, and the Marines then go in to secure the area. What they are then told is send 6 men with a squad leader, so 5 guys, back to get that Dogman, drag that son of a bitch back to the camp where that cave is, have both of them bodies right there. We will be dispatching a helicopter to pick them up, and you guys can get the hell out of Dodge. The squad 1, 5 of those guys and a squad leader deploy, so 6 guys. So now you've got a total of 20 Marines right there securing the area. One of the Marines, for some reason, and this is in the debriefing report that Peter had seen, one of the Marines had, for some reason, looked into the cave. They had only been sent there to take out the Dogman and this giant light creature. But something caught one of their eyes, and standing probably 10 to 15 feet in the cave was what can only be described as a reptilian humanoid. It was about 8 feet in height, maybe 8 feet tops. Not much larger than a human was exactly the term. And he had drawn his weapon up on it. A couple of the other Marines had seen it, including the one squad leader that was left, saw it. They all drew up on it, and it slowly, they're yelling commands to it. It's ignoring them. It doesn't, it has no fear of these Marines, even though it just watched a fucking Nephilim just get eviscerated in front of it. It backs up into the cave, almost out of sight. So it's just a pitch black kind of, you can barely see the yellow of its eyes. And this bright kind of light, almost like a solar burst, lightens up the inside of the cave. And this kind of, it's so quick. They see the silhouette of the humanoid, and then it's gone. They then run up to the cave. They've got flashlights on, tactical flashlights, very, very bright. They don't have night vision with them. This is a daytime mission. This was a mission that was, there was a time crunch on this. Flashlights are used to look into the cave. They go into the cave, and the cave is about 40 feet deep. It's not, it's a tube. It's essentially created from when there was massive amounts of lava and magma flowing in the area. They get to the end, and there's nothing in there except bones, debris, and what they find is the 3 hikers, the 3 missing hikers. Their bodies are in there. They are fairly consumed. They see clothes and such. After that, they're notified, hey, we have located the hikers. What should we do? Pull them out, put the bodies with the other 2, but separate them. We'll what we'll do is we'll send a net, cargo net, to pick them, the two creatures' bodies, and then we'll pick up any kind of remains, or actually we'll send in a cleanup team to drive up in with razors and some, off-road vehicles to go in and clean it up. So I then immediately look into this, and I'm like, well, what about the families? What were they told? And he said, obviously the families were told that, they were compensated. They were paid. And they were told not to speak of, any kind of compensation or loss of their children to the news. And, from there on, they had, shut their mouths. And then I was like, well, why? What about the news? Why didn't the news agencies pick up on this? And he said, well, ironically enough, when, newsworthy things could affect the United States government or the military, a better news story comes out. And I said, what's that mean? And he's like, well, that missing $1 billion, a few $1 billion from the Pentagon, and then 9/11. I'm like, yeah. He said, well, there was a large forest fire known as the Okanagan fire. And there was something like 300,000 acres burned in August. Strangely enough, though, 3 firefighters died in that blaze. So that's how that news didn't come out. Compensation. And I said, did the military start the fire? And he said, no. It was just coincidental that, the government did not start that. It was just a coincidental thing that, how he said it was pure luck that fire started. And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you.